Show season was rapidly approaching. We had lots of things left to do. They were all small, but they added up. While Randy and John focused on metal fabrication, I started to build press boards. We designed and fabricated a sliding base so that we could adjust the belt tension on the Model E. I cut to length and laced a belt. Just like the Turner, the DAIN was very hard to load and unload due to the long length of the tail behind the wheels. It tended to drag on the ground before loading. We loaded up and headed to Shelton, Washington for the Branch 245 edge of the show. When we got there, we found some bolts laying on the trailer. We ran it at the show and it went pretty good, but we didn't run it very hard and some parts fell off. So we picked them up and tightened up the bolts, put it back together. Our next stop was Crosby for Crosby Days, where we ran the hay press and a significant problem showed up. We didn't realize we had manufactured the block dropper 2 inches too long. When it caught on the top of a block, something had to give, so the 2 horizontal wooden beams snapped in half. We didn't have this part, so we manufactured it from a drawing provided by the South Dakota School of Agriculture. We had misread the scale and made it 2 inches too long. Let's interview John Graham. These look way too heavy to pick up. How did you get those out of there?
Well, I had a engine hoist, and I got them loose, and one at a time I pulled them up. And the thing that really makes this John Deere DAIN kind of different from the other hay presses was the fact that this main gear is a centric gear. And besides rotating, it also rotates in a manner such as this. So you got this great big mass here, and it's going in a motion such as this.
Eccentric.
And yeah, it's pretty wild. We used electrolysis to get the material back to a condition where I could use it and paint it. And this upper part, I didn't have any of it. So all of this parts are reconstruction pieces. And again, that fellow on the East Coast emailed me a picture of this, and I made one out of wood first, and then I made this one out of steel. And it seems to be a pretty good replica of what was originally on there.
This was one of the first motorized presses. Did it have a motor when you got it, John?
No, it didn't have a motor at all. All it had was a frame, a rusty frame, a real rusty frame that an engine could be placed on. However, I didn't plan on powering it with didn't miss. I was going to power it with a tractor with a flat belt off this pulley right here.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, Randy donated this 3-horse John Deere, and we rebuilt it to put on the press. And there'll be a separate video on the rebuilding of that 3. That's the first hit and miss I've ever worked on. It was quite the experience.
Some of these parts were kind of hard to get off. And in fact, I think it was this bearing for this guy right here. I bet I worked on it for a good 2 months. Every day I'd go out there with a light sledgehammer and tap on it and put some more penetrating oil, put heat on it, tap it. It wouldn't budge. It would not budge. Then I went out there one morning getting ready to give it a little more love, and I'll be darned, the thing just gave up and came off in my hand. I was really, really shocked.
Knew you were determined.
Yeah.
So you brought this home in 2011 and started it, right?
Yep, 2011, probably worked on it for 3 or 4 years. And at which time Frank took possession of it. And
Well, you worked on it longer than that. We only got it last winter to finish it. We wanted to see it back on the road, and we put together a good crew. We got John Stageberg, Randy King, John Graham, and I finished it up. All we had to do was the mahogany, some work on that, and fabricate a claw for the end until we find the original. We had to make the motor mount for the John Deere and add all that to it, and a tongue. So we did quite a bit to finish it up, but not nearly as much as John did. Thanks, John. We're going to try to keep it going. Things are going smoothly, so I took a break for lunch. When I came back, things had fallen apart. I was pleased that the boards broke instead of one of the big gears. I don't know where we'd ever find another one of those. So when I replaced them with the new boards, I made sure they were straight grained, and I put stress risers in there should this occur again, that they would break in the middle and not lose a bull gear or an eccentric gear. The block driver is John Deere part number AM109E for models after 1929. The part number for manufacturer dates 1909 to 1929 is AM275E, and that may be the difference. We don't know how different they are. We haven't seen them. You may notice how slowly the press is operating. That is on purpose. We have a small pulley on the engine to make sure we don't get going too fast on this old guy and spin a bearing or something. Until we get comfortable with its reliability, we're going to keep it slowed down. We hope to have it at normal operating speed of 450 RPM by the time we go to Ellensburg. The delay at the top of the stroke is a feature that allows the operator more time to get his hands out from underneath the spring works. It was used by the ad department to help sell this thing. Remember, this is a John Deere DAIN Junior. It is much smaller than the John Deere DAIN that was used on more of a commercial operation. This press was made for the small farm or dairyman that wanted to bale his own hay, but didn't want to bale and sell it. After reviewing the video footage I took, I think I see the problem right here. We had 4 weeks now to put it back together, and get it to Ellensburg. Lots to do, so we took it back to the shop and got after it. We got it going 2 weeks later in time for the Kitsap County Fair, where we took it and gave it a good workout. And it looks like we had finally got most of the bugs out and we're ready for the big show in Ellensburg. It was tradition on our farm to bale your hat with the last bale of the season.